You're the young, vibrant person. You have to show the old guard how it's done.
Oh, God, that's so much responsibility.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
I just want to see if anything moves. Oh, I guess it does. I guess it does. No, you don't talk yet. Okay. You don't talk yet.
Okay.
No, you're talking.
I'll leave.
You don't. No, you just sit there in silence. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to tell those guys outside to shut up. Shut up. So yes, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network in Chicago. And sometimes Dal and I feel like we come across super negative. And sometimes we think we've been, don't nod, we've been doing this for long enough to be jaded. So one of the things that we do in the store, but don't necessarily do in the podcast, is surround ourselves with youthful enthusiasm. And in an effort to make this podcast less bitter old man, less cranky, for 1 week only, we've replaced Dal with a newer, younger model, Thursday's own Kent Challenger.
Woo! Hello, everybody. Loyal Contest of Challengers listeners. And hello, Patrick.
Why, hello, Kent. What a surprise. I had no idea you were going to be here.
Well, what a surprise. I ambushed him out of the night.
And now, longtime listeners will know that Kent was on, like, very, very early, 10 years ago, in an episode dedicated to him. And then, a few years back, we tried to do a regular piece called, I don't know, Kent's Comic Corner, something like that?
There was alliteration involved.
Yeah.
I remember that much.
Where Kent would go over the new books for the week that he's excited for. And I gotta tell you, that is a thing that, in some capacity, I think we need to revisit. And here's why. As time has gone on, we find more and more stores, and this is actually a topic for today. And hey, guess who didn't have any notes out? Like, I don't have notes for the episode, but I like to write down what we're talking about to make life a little bit easier.
Stay on your feet and stuff.
Yes,
yeah,
thank you for that pen.
Totally.
That's just we're not talking about social media,
right,
but we are
right.
talking about how more and more stores engage with a video presence. And
I have noticed.
The last couple of weeks, I've been telling people in the store, and I mentioned on the podcast, the horrible, horrible show. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Did you watch it on your own, or did you watch it here?
I watched it here.
Okay.
You pulled it up, and
okay.
We had a good grape sesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of stores that do hype videos or sale videos, and there's more of them all the time. And I'm an old man, as I've mentioned numerous times, and will never stop. Hey, get off my lawn!
Damn kids.
And if I'm coming across a news article, I would rather read it than watch a video. Now, I'm a subscriber to Washington Post, and at the head of every article, they have a video as well. But all the video is a musical slideshow with text. It's not an actual video.
Yeah.
But I would rather read the article than watch the video. I realize that's not the case. I'm sure you're not that way.
Well, those videos specifically are almost certainly just put together to go viral or to attempt to go viral on Facebook and other platforms that are a lot more video-centric. This whole spiel is kind of related to why I stopped doing weekly reviews, I guess. There also was a period in college for me that I did written reviews for the site as well.
That was back when our site actually hosted written reviews, and you were the most prolific writer.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I think I would rather go back to doing that as opposed to Well, see, previously, it was just kind of me talking into a phone for the podcast's sake. If we were to do something video-centric, at least maybe anchored mostly towards Instagram, I think I could probably keep up with that a little bit more than, like, I don't know, the weekly task of, like, talking to myself. I guess it's different when you know a conversation with another person is going to be received by...
Can't you just pretend I'm standing there quietly?
and not repeat your dialogue, so I'm just having a one-sided conversation like a madman? Yeah. I guess technically, yeah, but it's a lot of pressure, man. It takes a lot.
So we've never been the, hey, this book is coming out tomorrow, you should get this kind of store. We'll do it if we think a book is overlooked, or like Man or Black came out. I'm like, you guys, Man or Black, it's Cullen Bunn, it's Brian Hurt, it's Tyler Crook, all together in one book. Like, that's a thing that I think people need to know about.
Well, that's the sort of experience that people get when they're actually in the shop.
Right.
You guys are just a little bit...
A lot of stores use these as a way to get people in the shop. And there are many stores that the night before will do a whole video, here's everything coming out for tomorrow. Ugh. And that gets people... right. But that gets people excited.
Yeah.
And we don't do it because we don't want to do it. But we're not saying there's no value in it.
I mean, hey, you guys have gotten significantly better about regular Instagram postings. Toy Thursdays seem to work very well,
sure,
as do
for Marvel
Restock
Legends
Wednesdays.
Specifically.
Right.
And the restock photos, I 100% ripped off from another store.
Okay.
And it wasn't like, oh, that's a good idea, I'm going to steal it. It was no, I'll show you what a restock pile is.
Oh, okay.
Which started as a mean joke, but I guarantee you there are a ton of stores that can do the same thing and make our piles look pathetic.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Which is fine. But as you pointed out, thanks to the ability of Instagram to enlarge a photo and people can zoom in and browse the stacks, and we do get requests for books or questions like, hey, what is that Nick Cave book? Or, hey, can you put that aside for me?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But more than that, we just want people to see, like, half of our business is non-new stuff. And I don't mean old comics. I mean just graphic novels that continually sell.
Right.
And so I want people to see what it takes to replenish the shelves, and this is with us sticking to a very strict restock budget. Like, if we just bought everything that sold out, or that we sold a copy of during the week that we want to replace, without structuring it monetarily, those piles would be insane.
Right.
But we want people to see what it goes into keeping the shelves stocked, because...
Keeping the ship afloat.
Well, I mean, no, not that sounds like...
Well, it's not a life and death situation.
I mean, keeping the level of product that we want, because you and I can agree that we think we have one of the better graphic novel selections in comics today.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I will put our stock up against any store in the city, hands down.
Easily.
And I'm not saying we have the most. No, I'm not saying we have the best. I do say that any given week, all we really focus on are the things people ask us for that we don't stock. It's like, oh, true, no one's asked us for that book in 5 years. That's why we don't have it.
And it's easy to focus on those.
Or things like A Guide Today. Do you have William Gibson's Alien 3? No, because it's out of stock from Diamond. And we need to be better at saying, fine, let's go to Bookazine and get it. Let's get it from Ingram or whatever else. But we were doing that more each week, and you don't see those in the photos because the Instagram orders, the Ingram orders, not Instagram, that's a platform. That's not a distributor, a wholesaler. Those come randomly, but we set our Diamond reorders to come every Wednesday, except this upcoming week when it'll be Thursday because of Labor Day.
Oh, delightful.
So you'll get it.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Reorders.
Yeah.
Always the most fun.
And then we don't get billed for it. Man, this is another week where we had 0 reorders on the Diamond bill when we had just caught up with a double bill because of their arbitrary, we just won't charge you for your reorders this week and we'll give you 2 next week.
Thanks.
Well, we know they're not going to give us both next week because of Labor Day, but those weeks suck because you get an extra reorder. Like, it's like you're paying for 2 of those reorders in 1 week.
Gotcha.
And normal businesses can say, they didn't charge us this week. I'll set that money aside for next week. That's not how things work around here.
No. Not
that
in
money
this
is
market.
spent before it comes out. But even Dow thinks that there's value in hyping up the week's new releases. Now, Diamond has specific rules about what you as a retailer can show people before the official on-sale date. And
right.
we've learned that we thought the official on-sale date was 10 o'clock your time zone.
Uh-huh.
It's not. It is at whatever time competing businesses open.
What?
Well, hold on. What do you think? And this siren is going to be annoying. Kent and I are going old school. We're recording this in Challengers.
With a microphone and everything.
Yeah, we're actually recording with two different ways, just in case there's any type of error.
That's the level of quality that we aim for.
But that means there's more traffic noise and probably a little bit more of an echo because we're in a very large place.
Right.
By competing business, it doesn't mean other comic stores in your neighborhood. It means any stores where you are. For example, if you're a mall store and the mall opens at 7 a.m., you can sell your new comics at 7 a.m. on Wednesday.
Interesting.
What's extra interesting is we are surrounded by multiple coffee shops.
Oh.
And the competing businesses in our area all open at ridiculously early hours.
Very true.
So technically, we could start selling books at like 8 o'clock on a Wednesday. We're not doing that.
No, that sounds miserable.
We're not doing that.
Right.
There's even people that seem to think the on-sale time is shifting to midnight because of so many midnight openings.
Okay.
And all that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's a stretch. Yeah.
I mean, I would not want that ever to be part of my business.
No, that's to have to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You know, the day after you've spent all that time and energy, like, unloading, going through books and everything, and just having to turn around and, like, deal with the next day's work immediately off the back.
Yeah.
That's miserable.
Pass. But there are numerous... Oh, I'm sorry. To get back to Diamond's rules, you can show the cover. You can't show anything inside.
No interior art. Okay.
And there are people that we know that would usually do, like, hey, here's all the books I got. Like comic shop employees saying, here's all the books I got tonight. And I thought, like, you shouldn't be able to say it like that because it makes it sound like you bought those.
Right.
You can't buy. I know that you work at the store. I know you're taking your books home, but you can't say you bought them because that's against the terms of service.
Right.
However, I don't, and honestly, like, we officially violate Diamond's policies every Tuesday when Dal does an Instagram post of a panel of House of X or Powers of 10.
But
you're showing the interior of a book that is not yet for sale.
Well,
and it's not for review purposes. Because we're a store.
I thought he usually posts them day of pre.
He posts them as he reads them on Tuesday.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, no Diamond execs are going to be listening to this, right?
No, but they're certainly gonna, like, of all the wrongs perpetrated in the industry by publishers, by retailers get punished and publishers don't.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's
sad, but it makes sense.
Spawn 300, it comes out next week, and there's, I don't know, 16, 17 covers.
Uh-huh.
At the time we placed orders, there were only 10.
Oh, Jesus.
At FOC, they dropped another 6 or 7 covers.
Oh, man.
So we have, inexplicably, which is not a thing that normally happens here, we had a small list of people that wanted every Spawn cover.
Okay.
Also, there were already 10 at $8.
Right.
So these people were already committing to spending $80 for this one book.
Jesus Christ.
Then, Image last second drops 6 more, adding, $48 more to your total. Plus, we don't have the time to go back to everybody who asked for them all to say, hey, do you want 6 more?
Right.
Because, I mean, I don't blame anybody for saying no. Like, I buy 10, but I'm not buying 16.
Right. But on the other hand, I mean, so I'm sure you can guess how many of these people are that type of completionist. So.
Yeah. But still, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
You asked for 10, you're getting all of these.
That's miserable.
And I don't think that should be allowed. I mean, DC had solicited all these new 100-page giant comics, which have 32 or 34 pages, whatever. Don't quote me. More than 24.
Right.
Pages new material, and then all reprint material. They solicited
what a deal.
10 of them to us, just telling us the title. Hey, this one's Batman. Hey, this one is Scooby-Doo, or whatever.
Okay.
Don't worry, you'll get the rest before FOC. How is that's not enough time for us to get the message to the consumer.
Right.
Like, you're telling us, hey, here's what it is, but now we've lost that extra month of being able to promote it to people,
and
or
do
just
your job.
Just having people tell us that they want it. Like, if you don't know what's going to be in these books, don't solicit them.
Right. It's just, there are proper pathways of this infrastructure of distribution and publication that have
my
been...
own finger.
Oh, no. Want a Band-Aid?
No, I already have one from biting that one.
Oh, no. But anyway, there
I
are
have
proper...
to bite my fingers, Kent, or else I get so mad I chew through things.
That's true. That's how mad the comics industry
Right. That's what you're
this
here
gentleman.
for. Temper me out.
Yeah, right. Optimism,
Stand down
I
these
guess.
rough edges.
Anyways, there are proper enough channels through the publishing to distribution industries formed over decades that, like, any attempt of publishers to kind of game the system doesn't work out. It doesn't work out happily for everyone, If you go through these channels correctly, or at least play by the rules fair enough, a rising tide lifts all boats, but...
Yes, but name me a publisher who's interested in lifting all boats and not just theirs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think such a thing exists.
Hold on, cool guy alert. Very cool guy, just had to go by.
Yep. Gotta love Western.
He was on the no parking area. He wasn't in a lane.
Oh, okay.
He was in the don't park here because we're paving section.
Well, I'm glad I didn't park there then. Paving was miserable yesterday. Oh my gosh.
I will give this city credit. Like, this city, basically what is happening is a several block stretch in front of the store is being repaved. But what they need to do first is take away all the existing concrete and chip it down by, like, I don't know, 3-4 inches or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
So they did that Tuesday, and then you have this rough surface. And traditionally, the city of Chicago is amazing at tearing up the streets.
Yep.
They could tear up like a half-mile stretch in a day.
Right.
Then they don't get back to it for like 6 months.
Right.
However, 2 days later, they start paving.
Thankfully.
Well,
because good Lord, this is kind of the heart of Western for the North Side.
Yeah.
So much else comes out of the main intersection right up the street from the store.
They're not anywhere near done. They still need to do at least like 2 more inches worth of paving, if you notice.
Right.
But the fact that they resurfaced it already within 2 days blew my mind.
Yeah.
I can only
it's a good
imagine
feeling.
it smelled terrible here
Oh my
yesterday.
God, it was awful. And surprisingly, we had a decent people count.
Yeah. Tuesday, when they were tearing the street up, the store was packed, and it was like dust everywhere. So noisy. Like,
how are you out on the street at this time?
the barber shop that's being built next to us had just resurfaced and epoxied, like the kind of
right.
surfacing you use in your garage floor.
Right.
So they'd epoxy their floor, and it's a very thin wall. So I walk in Tuesday, I'm like, oh my God, and it hits me right away, and I have to work right next to that. And it smelled so bad that Dad's like, we have to have the door open. We can't because they're tearing up the street and all the concrete dust is coming in.
Right.
And I thought, well, business is going to suck today. No, we had a ton of people in. I mean, this is also the last full week before Chicago public schools start.
Right.
And some local colleges start.
Very true.
But it would be enough to make me not want to come to the store.
Yeah, right. God, or at least be out on the street at all. Like, oh, geez. People are something.
So I want to go back to the videos just for a second because
Sure.
a lot of stores are doing sales online. And I don't mean like, hey, 50% off. Like, basically, like, hey, I have a block
Inventory
of
sales.
Yeah, I have like a 2-hour block. We're going to put up these books.
Right.
And talk about them. Then as people message that they want them, we'll take them down and put up new ones.
Right.
And it's basically like having your own home shopping network, but for the store.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, if you can move your inventory, that's great.
Sure. Yeah, whatever works.
I know retailers that now count on that for their new comic sales.
Oh.
And they're selling to people all over the country.
Okay.
Like, I know one store talked about how the majority, like they do this, and the majority of the books, and they do this Tuesday night.
Okay.
They don't invoice or ship out until Wednesday morning, because that's the rules.
Right.
But they can do it Tuesday night.
Right.
And that the majority of their people are local. Another store says only 10% of their store, their business is local. The rest is all over the country, and they order more, which is better for the industry. And I want to know, who are these people who are watching and buying their comics from these shows on a Tuesday night? Like, if you don't have a store, like, I've never understood why, and I'm hesitant to even mention the name, but there's so many mail order services out there.
Yeah.
I don't that have colossal discounts, and I don't understand why people that live in a place that doesn't have a comic shop, why they don't just order from those services.
Right. I mean, you'd figure that said services, having been around for long enough, would, I don't know, contribute or at least account for a majority of that sort of customer base, right?
You would think, but like, I know local stores that have crazy mail order subscriptions, and I don't understand it. It's funny because Dal and I occasionally hypothetically, like, what if there was no Challengers? Where would you get your books from?
Yeah.
And Dal, of course, is I don't think I'd be buying books anymore, but if I did, it'd be one of those services. And I'm like, oh, I would go to Tommy Seymour over at in Little Italy.
Oh, okay.
That would be my shop.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah. But I don't get who the people are that are doing it that way. Like, if you don't have, first of all, if you don't have a polls list and you feel like you have to watch these shows, that seems like you can easily circumvent that by having a polls list at a store. But if you don't have a store near you,
just going online.
I want to know if it's the people that are watching this are people that are super worried that their store is going to sell out, they're not going to get it, or if this is just the way they choose to engage with the books. Because it's such a, like, I started buying comics on the newsstand.
Right.
And then found hobby stores. And then found comic shops.
Right.
You are significantly younger. You were buying...
Well, I didn't grow up with too many comics, to be honest, but for a few summers when I was a kid, I would bike up to Borders and read, like, every graphic novel that I could get my mitts on. I had a couple gifted to me, but it wasn't really until high school that I had the means to travel and the disposable income for myself that I was able to, like, actually garner my own collection and tastes and stuff that wasn't just, I don't know, library books or stuff that I read by myself. So
I feel at this point we should remind people that one of the reasons that you're here today is because you have been part of Challengers for many years now.
Yeah.
You run Thursdays by yourself.
Very true.
And you started as the way I like to tell the story, and you may not remember it this way, you can tell me, but I remember you'd been shopping here for a little while. You and your afro. And you had said, hey, are there any job openings? Like, can I work for you guys? And I said, hey, I'm real sorry, but we don't have any openings right now. And you go, okay, can I work for free? And I said, yeah, we can make that happen.
All right, yeah. No, yeah, that...
And you did for a while.
Yeah, jeez. Those were some times.
Yeah, and
Good
then,
times.
I mean, that was
Sure.
high school for you, right?
God, yeah. Feels
Then
like
you
a
went
different
away
era.
to college.
Yeah, very
And
true.
you were shopping at Joe Turner's store.
Yeah, Atomic City.
Yeah,
and
also, Joe is buying a house. He's putting down roots.
Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think he's kind of quit the comics game.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah. Still good guy, though.
So what you're saying is, if you want to buy property, get out of comics.
Yeah, right. If you want to buy a lot of things, get out of comics, maybe.
Except comics. If you want to buy a lot of comics,
perfect industry.
Stay in comics.
Exactly.
So you graduated from
University of Pennsylvania
with a degree in
mechanical engineering,
and you moved back to
Chicago.
And you immediately came back to the store.
I like this Mad Libs format that we've got. Yeah,
I mean, I didn't have to pause for
well.
Chicago. I knew what that was, but I figured we were doing good.
Yeah.
And then you, using that...
Yeah, I started a small business for myself dedicated to mostly the digital design of and occasional fabrication of art toys, sculptures, and statues. These days, I'm mostly pursuing stuff in the soft vinyl toy medium. I've got a couple of designs under my belt, but these days I'm a little bit more dedicated to chasing licenses than I am of immediately putting out my own work, which is
and if
a whole
someone were
other
interested,
conversation.
what would the name of this business be?
Doomco Designs. Feel free to check out my website at doomcodesigns.com or follow me on Instagram at Doomco Designs. Yeah, easy as that.
Or the alternate name to your business,
Doom Code Signs, if that makes it easier to look up. But only if it makes it easier to look up. If you come out to me in the wild and say that to me, I'm just going to give you a straight face.
But it makes me giggle, so
yes.
I'm okay with it.
Whatever.
And tell people about Tarbus.
Oh, yes, that's right. Tarbus the Tardigrade is my first ever soft vinyl toy.
And we did this before. We had you on the show literally talking about Tarbus.
Right.
But now in context of you being on this whole episode, go for it.
Why not? We're here, right? Tarbus the Tardigrade is my first ever soft vinyl toy design and is, to my knowledge, the first ever product and toy completely designed in virtual reality. Yes, that's right. You heard me correctly. Virtual reality.
The first ever?
The first ever.
Wait, what... Okay, I have a hard
Someone
time
contact
with
Guinness for me,
actual
please.
reality. So what is virtual reality? What does that mean? Like, what if I were to use... I can't do it. I was going to try to get a pun for Oculus Rift or Oculus Medium, but...
It's a hard word.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So you do everything in Oculus...
Oculus Medium. It's Oculus's 3D VR sculpting app. What?
Oh, shit, never mind.
Okay.
How do you make a stupid joke about Oculus Large?
Oh, well, it landed.
Because you said medium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm tisk. Hadn't even thought
And
of
I
that
kept
before.
stumbling over the word Oculus.
Okay.
And then eventually you get to Oculus Extra Large Kent. Don't worry, you'll get there one day.
I'll get there. Once I pay enough.
So, briefly, Oculus Medium is virtual space.
Yeah, it's a 3D VR sculpting app that is halfway between, like, a computer-aided design program, like a traditional 2D CAD program, and...
Which stands for computer-animated drafting.
Okay, yeah. And actual sculpting. It's a great platform.
Which stands for building things out of other things.
I thought you were going to break that down with, like, every letter standing for something. Acronym, DOI. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic program. I highly recommend it to everyone who's interested in some sort of 3D design for animation or graphic artwork purposes.
I can say it's a pretty weird experience because 2 years ago on Jack Kirby's 100th birthday, we were doing a big art thing here at the store, and Kent brought his rig in and let me play with it, and I was leery because I get dizzy quickly. And
history of vertigo.
This is you're wearing a thick, heavy, like welder's visor, and you have these two power gloves on.
But yeah.
And as soon as you do it, you're in a wide open space.
Yeah.
But you're not. You're standing still.
It's kind of like an infinite void.
Your instinct is to start moving because everything's in front of you. But I was standing behind a table.
Right.
But it was even for an unexperienced Oculus Rifter like myself, it was easy to figure out.
Yeah, it's very
Plus,
intuitive.
there was a laptop that people could see what I was doing, so you could give me pointers and advice and say,
right.
Don't put that, use that tool, no, click that thing, no, grab that. And for my birthday this year, Kent gave me a rainbow of Jack Kirby busts that he 3D sculpted.
Rainbow.
And that was up on our Instagram back in June.
Yeah.
I've always marveled at your design skills. Your ability to sculpt out of nothing is
thanks, bud.
like you do a great job.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, you're really good at the sculpting and the design.
Oh, thanks,
And
man.
once you started hooking up with other people and companies for the production, that everything started to click into place.
Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of chasing more licenses and collaborations than I am expressly putting out my own work these days. Even though I do have a lot of plans stacking up for the latter part of the year.
Can you talk about any licenses that you've gotten that you are about to put anything out for?
Oh man, I am incredibly excited for this Tomahawk project that's slated to drop.
That sounds like it's comic related.
It is comic related. Tomahawk was a book originally published in Heavy Metal magazine and then collected in Image, written by Donny Cates and with artwork by Ian Biederman. A fantastic sci-fi book about a android barbarian in the future who's wielding the titular Tomahawk, this sacred techno sci-fi weapon that feasts off of the hearts of slain robo enemies. It's all very wonderfully in the vein of like the excesses of Heavy Metal magazine. Fantastic stuff. We've got a soft vinyl toy of the titular character, the Cyberberserker, planned, as well as 2-scale replica Tomahawks for a Kickstarter that should be dropping in October.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's real soon.
Real soon. It's coming up. But yeah, that and a few other really awesome plans with really awesome creators coming up. So, yeah.
So to get the Tomahawk license, who did you talk to?
Funny thing. So,
So
a couple of years ago...
Let me just shed a little bit light on this, because Kent has the habit of seeing a thing in a comic and saying, I want to create that in 3D. Then he'll go and do it, and then be like, oh, I should probably talk to whoever owns this.
That's
and
kind of exactly what happened.
You did a really great, from Curse Words,
oh,
you
yeah.
did a hog tower for...
A wonderful Botchko.
And you gave one to Ryan Brown, you gave one to Charles Soule.
Yeah.
He was actually here for our Curse Words hardcover release.
Oh, man, that's right.
Yeah.
That was a great event.
Yeah. But those are things that you do, and then you produce like a single, or this in this case, 2 pieces. But you're doing it just to do it and to show off what you can do.
Yeah,
that wasn't a
found that
moneymaker. But it would have been if they said, I love this, let's mass produce it.
Exactly. And we have had tentative conversations about stuff in that vein as well since then. So, like, it's
Too late. Curse Words are just about done.
true,
But I mean, like the Tomahawk, that came out of you saying, I want to reproduce this.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I've got a lot of my own ideas and a lot of things that I want to make for the sake of my own artistic vision out there in the world.
Yeah, but Ken,
the thing is, with toys,
if you're a band, you only get known by doing covers first, and then you could say, here's my original material.
yeah. And the thing is, with toys, there's a significantly larger barrier to entry per each design than the medium of comics. Not to get too into the weeds, but the molds for Tarbis the Tardigrade were a few grand, honestly, and it's been a fantastic investment, and that really is what it is. It's an investment, but to trust that you'll be able to pick up an audience reliably on every subsequent design after that is tough. You know, I've taken kind of a fumble on a couple of my own personal designs at this point too. So like I'm a little bit more wary of going in on things that I know won't have definite sales.
And that's the thing you have to look forward to, is that's like us saying, oh, this comic looks great. I don't know if we can get it in anybody's hands.
It's the problem with every creative industry, you know, just managing the business half and the pragmatic, realistic side of the economics you're under versus what you're actually passionate about,
Yeah,
or what
so
you feel like should be reflected in the world.
Of the 2 bands that I'm in, one of them we sell a CD here in the store,
Right.
The Divorce Gun, The Waning Days of the World.
Available now.
And it's been available for a year now. And like I've given copies away to friends and family and stuff. The only people that have ever said anything about it are the people that have actually bought it.
Ah,
The people that pay money for it and listen to it give you feedback.
right.
The people you just
They
give it
actually
to
value it.
don't give a shit.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, how did this become about my band, man?
Creative
Serpent
endeavors,
Crown,
man.
though. Don't worry, we'll have Serpent Crown CDs in that same window sometime.
Coming soon.
We're hoping by Christmas, but probably not.
Not soon enough. Yeah, I totally lost track of where we're at. And
Well,
where
I mean,
came from.
we just gave a good overview for Doomco. So, like,
Yeah.
you're a comic fan and you work in a comic shop, but like everybody else, aside from Dal and I, This not your main hustle. This is
Right.
It's your side gig.
Yeah. One of a couple side gigs at this point.
But everything else that you do has its roots in comics.
Oh my God, certainly. Don't get me wrong, I love vinyl toys, but it's a relatively new passion for me comparatively. I've been hooked on comics for over half my life at this point.
Sure.
And I mean hooked as in like
Shit, I've been
weekly
for
reading
over 46 years, so there you go.
Right. So no judgment.
Right.
But yeah,
I'm going to judge you? Look where we are.
Yeah, right. After hours? Crazy.
So, Kent, one of the things I want from your standpoint and your point of view, and I realize that not telling you these things in advance doesn't give you a lot of time to think about it, but as somebody who runs the store by yourself on a day of the week,
pretty good day,
the day after new releases.
Yeah.
This is a very vague in general question.
Right.
But, as a comics retailer,
right.
What do you think the industry is lacking, and what is Challengers lacking?
Oh, good questions.
Like, if you had more power, which, let's be clear, you have zero.
Right.
You're not allowed to change a fucking thing.
Of course.
But, like, what would you change? What would you do differently in Kent's comics?
That's very interesting. Well, let me preface this by saying that I certainly have a certain viewpoint of the store, particularly because I run Thursdays in particular. Thursdays are what feels like a good amount of overflow from Wednesday.
Yeah, you get the people that didn't get a chance to get their books Wednesday but are still excited. And you didn't have to do any of the work of unboxing and inventorying and pulling club and doing that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So it's kind of the best of both worlds of having enough people in on a regular basis, but not having to deal with like the store at its most hectic.
Yeah, we give you a series of, I'm going to call it busy work, but it's minor tasks that just need to be done to keep things running. But you're not in charge of anything that could cause a huge gap in sales or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
But at the same time, you don't have the responsibilities of ordering or restocking and things. Like a lot of my Wednesday is spent working on the next week's invoice. Like more than half of my Wednesday, and that is that I kind of am jealous of the people that just hang out and talk comics on Wednesday, because I don't do that. I'm over here on this very computer working on next week's invoices, getting everything broken down, getting the website ready. And the only reason I do that on Wednesdays is because that's when Diamond puts up the invoices. They go up at like 5 a.m.
Oh, gotcha. So it's when it needs to get done.
Yeah, it used to be on Thursdays, so I could do it on Thursdays, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, more really cool people.
Guys.
Yep. It's all guys, too.
Yeah.
So I don't have a whole lot of time to sit and talk about comics, but it's been so long since I've done that, I wonder, like, would I hate that now?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You definitely still do that.
Oh, sure, but
I, in case you haven't met me in real life, I'm also in the store every Wednesday as well, reading the week's new releases that I don't buy, and also picking up my books as well, so I can read them on Wednesdays, because I am a Wednesday warrior, I guess.
Funny anecdote about Kent is when we used to get first looks and sneak peeks or a ton of advanced PDFs from publishers, we would let all the employees have access to them as well. Kent would never want to read them.
No, I'm not going to keep everything straight as far as timelines and being able to immediately recall what has come out in the past few weeks, which is, I mean, in this business, really essential.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm pretty good at recalling the stock that has been on our new this week rack for the past, 3 to 4 weeks. Like, if someone comes up with a book, 9 times out of 10, I figure I've got a good enough idea as to when it was released. So, like, I kind of I need to keep that skill intact.
Aside from Down Eye, you are definitely the most well-read Challenger.
Hey, nice.
Everybody else
Feels
has
good.
their niche and the things they love.
Yeah.
But you are the most current, today's comics person.
I kind of think so too. I mean, I make it a point to read anything regardless of genre, so long as it is good, you know? I think doing that is kind of the purest expression of love for the medium, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've always been a sucker for superheroes, and I always will be, but like...
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I can tell you that, like, oh my god, Criminal is one of the best books on the stands, but I also think that Spider-Man Life Story was such a great self-contained series, and I looked at our orders for the trade, and I thought, no, this is the book for Christmas.
Yeah.
This is the book that I can tell anybody who comes in and says, yeah, my cousin likes Spider-Man, what should I get? This book.
It's crazy, though, because Grand Design was also this year, you know?
Yeah, well, but I mean, not all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like...
for a good just,
Extinction, for sure, and...
Yeah. Volume 2, basically.
And 3.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because Extinction just came out in collection.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But Grand Design is anybody who is ever an X-Men fan, that book is perfect for them.
So true.
But for people that are buying a gift for somebody else, I think Grand Design is a little bit harder of a sell.
Okay.
Only because of the format.
Yeah.
The format is what's one
true.
of the best things about that book.
Agreed, but it does definitely put people off who are looking for a gift and with a vision in mind of going home with a book-shaped gift and not like a coffee table book-shaped gift.
Hey, have you noticed that paperback novels in bookstores have changed their format?
I mean, I haven't been in another bookstore in like a long while.
Like I don't know. I just mean you can be in a Target and they have novels and things.
I don't pay attention to. I don't read prose that's not on the internet.
I don't know how to describe this, but your normal rectangle is what, like, the books used to be like this.
Sure. Okay.
Now they are like this. They're tall and thin.
Weird. They're thinner than they used to be.
But they're also taller.
Huh.
I don't understand why. I always meant to ask somebody in publishing that, but I haven't, so I just thought I'd mention it right now.
Wow. I can't say I've noticed, but I mean, I believe you.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Maybe it's a...
the size of a paperback has been the same for decades.
Right. Well, I mean, it's got to be money. So if it's a money thing, I bet it's production.
But to be embraced by everybody. Like, there was a point when Marvel, in the early 2000s, made their books a tiny bit smaller because they could save on paper.
Oh,
and their books, like,
okay.
when you line them in boxes, they're just, like...
Ever so slightly.
A few millimeters shorter than everybody else. But they eventually abandoned that.
Okay, good.
Because it was so off-putting.
Yeah. I imagine just comparatively, if you're walking a rack, you know? Like, seeing books shaped like that compared to everything else,
just a tiny bit smaller.
No, like, oh, now you can visibly notice how much you're getting screwed by that company. Yeah.
Being able to say to anybody, especially if they have read X-Men for their whole life, to say, hey, you want to read the first 300 issues, but only in 3 volumes?
Yeah, pretty appealing.
Yeah.
Pretty dang appealing.
And I'm equally excited for Fantastic Four Grand Design. I honest to God, everybody does that.
I'm not a huge Tom Skelly
Everybody says,
guy.
is Ed Piskor doing that as well? No.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I know that, but I'm not an 80s kid, so I don't really... I'm not Tom Skelly's crowd, you know? 60% of his work is some sort of 80s property? Am I wrong? It's around there, right?
Myth of Eight Opus is what really put him on our radar and things.
Okay, I mean, I've got American Barbarian and stuff, but I don't dig his style.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, you know.
So why do you hate Jack Kirby?
What? I don't get why people call him the most Jack Kirby artist today. I mean, no, I don't.
This is not something I want to dwell on, but who's more so?
Michael Fife, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, as far as figure work, at least.
Okay, so we're talking about your perspective of the industry and the store itself.
Right. What the industry needs. That's tough, because Realistically, it would be
super easy. More readers.
Well, yeah, just more cash in general, right?
Well, but I mean more. No, we need more readers to come in because, like, one of the things we're very excited for House of X and Powers of 10 is it's getting a lot of people to join the club that haven't been in.
Yesterday,
and you yourself are signing up a ton of people just for those books.
Yeah, yesterday I had someone come in who I made a subscriber who mentioned he hadn't been in a shop in like a decade.
Right.
Yeah.
And these books are bringing that in.
Yep.
But it's up to us to get them to expand.
I also will say here that my initial response to your question, what does the industry need, was going to be something like a consistent saga, you know? But that's the thing, a consistent title or set of ongoing titles that bring new readers in. It's not the solution of just readers coming in. It's another quasi-question of how are you bringing these readers in?
It's a long-standing problem where creators and publishers will say, hey, here's our new book. And our question is, who is it for and how are you telling them that?
Right.
You can't make us do that.
It can't entirely be on us.
We can when people get in the door, we can then tell them about your books. But we can't 100% get all the people into the store. Right. They have to come in because they heard about a thing they want to get. And Joss Whedon doing Astonishing X-Men did that. Buffy comics do that.
Right.
These new X books do that.
Things from other interests or genres or phases of people's lives.
The New 52 absolutely did that.
Yeah. Yes,
hands down.
Yes.
But
long term, but yes.
And like, people aren't coming in saying, I've heard about this saga. People come in and we say, have you heard about Saga?
Right.
And then they come back. But yeah, we definitely need more saga-like books, but don't you think every creator who's working on a book
not really like
thinks their book is the next saga?
Right, that's the thing. I don't mean saga-like in its inception or content. I just mean something that is received to that degree.
No, that's my point.
You know?
Don't you think every creator thinks that their book is going to be the best book?
Do
you think anybody makes a book going thinking, oh, this is garbage, but I hope I can sell it?
Well, yeah. I mean,
take a book. Like,
I would argue that some of Marvel's C-list tier books are.
Oh no, Marvel doesn't care.
Right. But
just take a book like Fair Lady from Image.
Okay.
The creators went out of their way to have a freestanding, fun sci-fi action adventure detective series where they built this great world. Every issue was self-contained, so you didn't have to follow continuity. Every issue was more than your standard 20 pages of story and art, and there was bonus material. They sent so many ash cans and postcards and stuff.
Very true. So much
on
promo.
Their dime
yeah.
to a ton of stores. They launched big, sold out, immediate second print. By issue 5, the series is done. Yep. Because sales plummeted. Like, what more can a creator do?
I mean,
but then you take Fair Lady on one hand, you take Little Bird on the other. Okay. Little Bird is a book where we had faith in it, and we went out of our way to do this sales battle.
Right.
It didn't need our help.
Yeah.
It got the readers. It would have gotten its readers on its own.
Right.
It did well because people responded to it and it connected.
Yeah, and on the quality of its own work.
So you can't predict that.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
without the sales battle, we would have ordered Little Bird probably the same as we ordered Fair Lady.
Yeah, and it's not like public reception would have been that much bigger either. I think for like casual people just walking off the street.
But I mean, nationwide, worldwide,
right.
Little Bird connected, and it was a thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's It's tough / nigh impossible to tell. I mean,
what I'm saying, Kent, is I don't know what I'm doing, and I just celebrated my 29th anniversary of doing this. You're the young, vibrant person. You have to show the old guard how it's done.
Oh, God, that's so much responsibility and obligation.
All right, while you're thinking, I'm going to jump in and say that. So it was my 20th anniversary. I talked about it last week as well.
Yeah.
And what I've been doing the last couple years has been just taking a picture of my comics knuckle tattoos.
Okay.
This year I didn't. I just did a quick little video about, hey, I'm doing it. I'm 29 years, whatever.
That was a darling thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But, so, I just did it in the room in which we record contest challengers normally.
Right.
And I have a gyroscopic phone stabilizer to do stuff like this.
Oh, okay.
So in the middle of the first take, it died, and the thing it goes boo, and the camera spins.
Oh.
So I had to recharge it, right? And then so I do it again, and I'm not paying attention to how long I'm talking because I'm like, whatever, it's got to be short.
Right.
Well, it was 1 minute and 7 seconds.
Okay.
Instagram videos have to be under 1 minute.
Yes.
So I'm like, no worries. I'm just gonna shoot this over to Dropbox, then I'm gonna dump it into Sony Vegas Pro, which is what I use for video.
Okay.
And I'll edit it down.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
No problem. I'm sure you all saw there was an edit in the middle.
Right.
And Dal's like, you could just edit on your phone. I'm like, well, on your phone you could cut out the start and like I wanted to take out the section in the middle.
Yeah.
Where I do say, and this is the part that got cut out. There's a lot of challenges today in running a store, but ultimately it's worth it, right? So that got cut out. But
that's where the name comes from.
Exactly.
It's like a movie.
Long story short, I hadn't installed Sony Vegas Pro I hadn't run it on my new computer yet.
Okay.
And it was missing some file types.
Okay.
That took forever to get because it was Apple Windows compatibility issues.
Right.
Finally get it up and working, great, and that took like a half hour. Well, I can't open the video because it was from an iPhone, and iPhone doesn't, and Sony Vegas Pro don't get along without certain QuickTime plugins.
Right.
And QuickTime doesn't give a shit about Windows.
Right.
So reading up on all these different fixes, and I don't like changing registry codes, and I don't like adding things into the command prompt. Like, I don't want to mess with the internal workings of my system.
Right.
After over an hour, and I was late to getting to an Alzheimer's fundraiser, I just realized I'm just going to download an old version of QuickTime and run that. So I was finally able to do it. But then, whenever I do a video off my phone and use Sony Vegas, it has black bars across the top and the bottom. And I can't get rid of those. Like, I can stretch the video to block it out, but then it distorts the whole frame.
Right.
I want to be able to blow... I don't know. It's
weird.
I eventually just said, screw it, threw the watermark in, called it done.
Good enough.
But what I wanted to say specifically about this video was... It's just to remind people that, like, when Jim Rugg and Ed Piscor mentioned my letter from Hero Illustrated...
Right.
Or my article about, like, there are lifers in the comics retail industry, and 29 years is a long time. I'm not anywhere near one of the longest running people doing this. Joe Field is doing this way longer than me. Brian Hibbs.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who have more time in this than me.
At least in the Midwest, you're probably
in Chicago
like,
alone,
what?
Carl Bonasara over
top
in the suburbs. And
yeah.
No, I wouldn't even say that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gem Comics has been around longer than I've been doing this, and they're out in the western suburbs.
Damn.
Yeah, plenty of people.
The Midwest is kind of it's really good fertile ground for comics, though. As far as, like, comic shops?
Yeah.
Except for South Dakota, which apparently has no comic shops.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, there's only less than 3,000 comic shops in the world, so there's plenty of major cities that don't have them.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised by all of the comments I got from people, and I tried to keep up with it. And it's great to see people that currently shop at the store responding, people that used to shop where I used to work back in the day, people that I've known the whole time. It was great to get messages from Jim Rugg, from Tom King, from
Nice.
Charles Soule.
Very nice.
Yeah, from Brent Sheedover and Dave Scheidt and Mike Norton and all the people that we've gotten to know through comics. And I was at a wedding last weekend, which I talked about in great length in last week's episode.
Yep.
And that all got cut out.
Oh, okay.
There was a 15-minute chunk at the beginning that got cut out.
That wedding really had an effect on you,
Yeah.
huh?
Well, but I mean, it was pointed out to me from Ryan Voss that, well, long story short, everybody I know at that wedding is from comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean,
not just what I've done for 29 years. It's almost every facet of my life.
Right, the world
Like-
you have lived in.
Yeah. The Serpent Crown, the Chris Carlson, my longtime collaborator, I met him through comics. Mm-hmm. Divorce Gun, my long time collaborator and patron, Bob Burns, we met in school. We bonded over comics.
Right.
That just reminded me that this is the first episode of a new month, and we're supposed to thank the patrons, and I don't have
Oh, the
the patron list
Next time.
in front of me because we're doing this. We're not. The whiteboard is not in the background. It's not there.
No notes, no whiteboard, no preparation.
But yeah, it's amazing the people that you get to interact with, and sometimes I look at people who, like yourself, who you were a high school kid when I met you.
Yeah.
Now you have your own
Crazy to
business.
think about. Crazy to think about.
Right.
Jeez.
And I look back at people that I knew as kids, and they have families and careers.
Right.
And I knew Ryan Voss when he was jumping off of roofs in the backyard with his own wrestling federation. and now he is a grown adult with a responsible job and a wife and a career. And through that whole time, I've been doing this.
Yeah. The more things change.
But I still want to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic job, and
I don't want to fight over variant covers and speculation, and I can't tell you how demoralizing it is to hear about inappropriate conduct from creators who you respect. And there are, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or not, but there's some graphic novels that I love from a creator that I will never allow his work in the store again.
I think, yeah.
And some stuff came out today where I had to take something off of one of our walls and literally throw it away.
Damn.
And just be like, now, what do I do about the books that this person made that I loved?
Yeah. Burn them, make an Instagram video, call them out.
I mean, honest to God, I almost did with throwing all those prints away. But I don't want to focus on the negativity. I just don't want it there. But
Yeah.
I literally said to Ashley, I'm like, Ashley, where are all the stories of the veteran women creators who prey on the young, up-and-coming men in the industry who don't know any better or who just want to find a mentor and just use the crap out of them? Where are those stories?
Yeah.
Obviously, the true answer is that doesn't happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I hate stuff like that because I don't like. Man, there's I have to go home and take some books off a shelf now.
You know, it's and it's just a bummer too, because like as far as stereotypes go, the comics industry has historically been lauded with like some really shitty stereotypes, comic book retail especially, and like anytime anyone falls into that sort of, I don't know, behavior in a big enough spotlight, it's just like, don't we have enough of like an image to maintain as it is, instead of being like a total male dominated, very like exclusive, I don't know, taking advantage of sort of situation. It's just, it sucks, man. You know,
I'm
like,
a big fan of the current Hulu show 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Okay.
And one of the writers and producers is going to be the showrunner for the Ms. Marvel series.
Oh, right, yeah.
And you know that she's going to do great because as soon as she was announced, Comics Gators shit all over her.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, now I know this is going to be good.
Did you see some of the backlash that She-Hulk got? It was
No.
some of the stupidest fucking backlash.
No.
It's all a bunch of
Is it-
ridiculous, Marvel's really turning into a bunch of feminazis now because a Lady Hulk, what's next? You know, it's that kind of...
She-Hulk, who's
Stupid
been around
crap.
since what, 1978?
Exactly, right? Oh my god, no. It's just people talking out of their asses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but one of the things I'm proudest of this store is there's not a single person who's ever worked here, I hope, that has ever been a gatekeeper in any way, shape, or form. One of our sayings is we want to build a comic store for today's readers and tomorrow's readers.
Totally.
We don't give a shit when you started reading comics. We don't even care if you haven't started reading yet and you start reading now. Comics are and always have been for everyone. And
Everyone all the time.
your liking something doesn't diminish my liking of it.
Right, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I got that from Aubrey Stitterson, but
Okay.
that you can use
I
it on your own.
got it from you, so okay.
there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, at my worst, I will internally roll my eyes at someone buying something very schlocky, but that doesn't. What gives me the right to actively judge anybody else's purchases?
Everyone
Everyone
an
is
unabashed pop music lover. In fact, today we listened to the radio, the BBC Radio 1, of course,
Right.
all day. But when I was younger, I would, the pop songs that everybody loved, I would immediately hate.
Right.
Things like, Oh Mickey.
Okay. Have you since come around to them?
Well, no, but one of my things about pop music, and it can probably be applied to everything else, is that if you hear a song and you immediately think this is catchy, I like this is real good, you're going to hate that song very quickly.
Yeah.
The songs that grow on you are the songs that you really invest in and wind up liking for a lot longer.
Right.
So a lot of those songs, like Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You,
Okay.
so catchy and hooky immediately that by the third day I'm like, oh, I gotta hate this song.
Right.
But because it has a thing initially. But yeah, I'll rail against the public in those regards. I never saw a Twilight movie.
Yeah, fair.
But also,
why
I wasn't predisposed to see those anyway.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
But comics are different. I'm not going to not read a comic because, oh, everyone likes Saga? Well, fuck that. I'm not going to read it.
Yeah, no, it's... it's also nice because comics are, at least as far as North American publishing goes, way smaller of a pool.
Oh, yeah.
And it's... The comics are the only fields of books where it's at least somewhat appropriate to judge a book by its cover. So quality is a little bit more.
It's really hard to do that
apparent.
nowadays when so many Marvel covers don't reflect what's happening inside, and whoever did the outside didn't do the inside.
So true.
But whatever.
I mean, it's kind of been that hard for a couple decades. Brian Michael Bendis has only recently started working in DC.
Yeah.
So
Hey, let's without calling up too much of a point to it. You read Superman this week?
yes, and action.
Well, action doesn't fit into this equation.
Okay, but we were sold out.
Yeah, we saw the action immediately.
real quick.
Yeah, well,
Very surprising.
I think Action is the better book, but it sells less for us.
Okay. I mean, they're both Bendis, so
Right.
it's all.
Yeah, but one is
all of
like-
his narrative is really blurred together.
Well,
For me.
one is out there space sci-fi. One of this is at home. The Daily Planet stuff
yeah.
is what hooks me more. Anyway,
Agreed.
had you looked at the previous version of that issue, the recalled issue?
No. Well, I saw a copy just kind of laying out on the desk, or laying out on one of the back counters, but I didn't pick it up or
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
We won't talk about it.
Okay. I think I know where you're going.
Because it's so dumb and it doesn't make any sense, and it's so dumb I don't want to mention it.
Right.
But all we know is that when you force a narrative that will immediately be uncovered,
right?
What are you doing?
Just why bother?
Right.
Yeah. At this point, like we all. Everyone who's invested enough in buying weekly superhero comics knows the rules of the genre. You know, that's why Peter Cannon Thunderbolt was A, such a great book, and B, such a well performing Dynamite book for us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it was really a book for people who were A, Watchmen aficionados, and B, people who appreciated structurally.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost doing a disservice to say this, but as opposed to Doomsday Clock, that was really the sequel to Watchmen.
Yeah, the spiritual sequel.
Yeah,
definitely. Which is, odd to think about, because Watchmen is a book that doesn't need one, and is arguably the comic book that is the least in need of a sequel or prequel or anything else aside from its main story.
Kent, what are you reading now that you love?
Oh my god. Big old shout-outs to the Immortal Hulk. I fucking love the Immortal Hulk. It's so much fun.
I can't help but notice you're dressed in green today.
Yeah.
From your glasses, to your shirt, to your belt, to your shoes.
Top to bottom.
And I feel like that is more thought that you're giving to Rotofugi than you are to Challengers.
I just got a new shirt lately. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been wearing this. This is second or third day in a row wearing this. It's just what I do with shirts. Yeah.
Wear them? Good.
Yeah, right. Look good, you know. I do my best. Yeah, Gamma inspired, I suppose. Not really. But
I love that Al Ewing is taking every facet of the Hulk ever and making them all work simultaneously.
It's so satisfying.
I was so excited when Joe Fixit came back because I love the Joe Fixit Hulk so much.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's so smooth. It's so smooth and cohesive, you know. I've been a huge fan of this book since basically issue 1, and maybe about 2 weeks ago or so, 2 weeks to a month ago, I decided to plow through it again in trades, and let me tell you, it holds up just as well.
Are you finding more stuff, like stuff you missed? Like, oh my god, he's setting seeds in. Because Al Ewing is a guy who absolutely knows current continuity and past continuity and how to put them together.
Yeah.
Like, he knows what's happening in other people's books as well.
Agreed. It's some of the most artful integration of current canon and storylines, which is honestly one of Marvel's, like, saving graces, I would argue, because who else in their roster of, like, B plus to A list talent is really doing that, you know?
Who even thinks to do that?
Who even think? Yeah, who cares enough to do that?
Yeah.
And, like, that's really the thing. It's about caring enough to do that. And honestly, it seems like Al Ewing's notably more old school than a lot of current Marvel, like, mainstays, to the point of being invested in that sort of, like, high level continuity. It's refreshing, you know, because, like, anyone can write a storyline that vaguely exists at some point in the Marvel universe. Like, people have been doing that for decades.
Sure.
But to be able to roll with the punches, you know, like, that is the mark of, like, a writer specifically good at working in a fictional, like, line-wide universe. Like, having to coordinate with the talents of an array of other people while maintaining the quality of your work. Like, that's a very specific set of skills that I appreciate the hell out of Al Ewing for having.
All right, can you name something upcoming you're looking forward to? And I pulled this up to give you a cheat to see if there's anything here that stands out.
Okay, yeah. You know, the Lemire question stuff is pretty intriguing.
And that was going to be my pick.
Ha ha ha, sucker! I've only gotten a handful of issues into the O'Neill question run.
Okay.
After buying a collection of loose floppies maybe 2-3 years ago at a C2E2, and it's a series that I'm definitely going to get back to at some point. So I don't have that much of a reverence for the character like everyone else does because of this kind of landmark run.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to it very much so, specifically for Andrea Sorrentino, right, on our duties? Yeah? Okay.
He's not. It's Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh my God.
The original.
Yeah, doing
Yeah.
it.
You're
That's what it
thinking of
is.
the Joker book.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I'm always a little bit better at keeping up with this week's new books rather than
Looking ahead.
yeah.
Well, as somebody who frequently has to add books to your polls list, I will second that. That is definitely a thing you are better at.
yeah. It's yeah. I don't-
One of my favorite things to completely bitch about Friday mornings is when you will write down a thing like, add Kent to this book. Do it yourself! You were here for 8 hours!
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, at least I don't like text or email you out of the blue anymore. It could be much worse.
It could be, hey, all the lights are off, the sidekicks, what happened?
Yeah, right.
Kent, thanks for filling in this week when Dow was unavailable and our schedules didn't line up because of personal things and live wrestling shows.
Of course.
So thanks for being here. You, listener, thank you for listening.
And keep reading comics. This has been Contest of Challengers.
All right, CBO. Good work.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.